Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, still fat.
Is this it now for like the next, I don't know, 6 months of podcast intros where like as soon as like, how are we? And you're just gonna go straight into that and just pick
until
yourself apart.
until I get to that 16-17% body fat. It's the truth. The truth hurts, Sean.
Right,
It absolutely hurts.
I'm going straight away from that because I want an uplifting start to the episode. So an uplifting start to the episode will be mentioned our previous guest in the Any Given Monday podcast who participated in the Art O'Neill over the weekend. Ricky Wynn, actually, not only did he win it, he set a new course record of 5 hours and 46 minutes. The nearest person to him was 20 minutes away. So Buddha Bush straight away for Ricky on that one. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Marky, who was on the podcast before, also did it, as well as Kira. Phenomenal getting through the night. I gotta put my hands up on that one. Say fantastic job to all three, as well as everyone else that did that event over the weekend.
And one thing about Ricky as well, his post about it, I love his post. The most modest man ever, and he finishes it with just keep showing up. I'm like, oh man, I went cycling like Goodo today when I seen that post.
Oh man, fair play. I would have been like standing on podiums and the whole works, and like I had to search the man's times to see he got like right before we hit the record button. I'm like, well, what did he do it in? And then seeing like 5 hours 46, I would have had that blasted across the top, and how much I was ahead of everyone else and stuff. But he's just so modest and cool. Now, fair play to him on that.
A phenomenal achievement, and those who don't know, listen to our previous episode about the course and what we've talked about. But it's absolutely great, and who knows what 2024 is going to bring from. But that's a fantastic start, and we wish them all the best.
Yeah, 100% in that. Had my own little event over the weekend to bring it down a little bit to the average Joe like myself. I was over in Donadea for the half marathon there. Donadea Forest, but I actually got an email the day before. So the reason I signed up to Donadea is I'm planning to do the 50k in February. And the 50k is 10 laps to Forest. And this one, it was supposed to be 4 laps to Forest. And then I got an email the day before saying there was actually some water in the course. They tried, they couldn't get through there. So it had to be a small loop and then 5 slightly bigger loops. So I'm like, oh, I'm not actually doing the exact course I want to do in the first place. Yeah. But hey, look, health and safety, I wasn't really too bothered about it. I was like, look, now's a chance to go out and just try and go for a faster pace, because I know we talk about the podcast all the time about, going slow on race days will come, train easy, race hard, that kind of thing. But I hadn't really done a sub 5 hold for quite a while. And of course, me being me, after the first, into that small little lap, I got through and I was looking to watch and told me like a 4:57, and then I got to a 4:53 kilometer. And I knew with the Forest that wasn't going to be totally accurate. It could be 5-10 seconds one way or the other. So I was conscious of that, but I was also conscious it was fast. And I was like, right, do I pull back? Because the goal, I like to have gotten into a sub 150 I would have been happy with. But 145 was like the real goal, if that makes sense. So yeah. That's it. 150 happy, 145. And I knew I needed 5-minute kilometers for 145. So I was like, you know what? Let's just hold this for as long as I can, hold on for dear life and see where I'm at with it. Because, if I crash and burn, I crash and burn. It's not a big deal. It's the main one's the 50k. So it was just hanging on. And like we talked about, like it took me 6-7 kilometers before I eased into it. And even though it was roughly 4 kilometer laps, the big ones, because I didn't know it, the first 2-3 laps felt like they took forever. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
When you don't know something that way, like, oh, is this the last turn before the straight? Is this the last turn?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get your way around the course and you're not too sure where it's at. Like Dublin, we know exactly what we're dealing with each part. With this one, even though there wasn't that much hills, like there was only, like, it wasn't that hilly at all. But because it's not hilly, when the hill parts come, you feel it more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's that's where I did a lot of my training. And even having ran there 10, 20, 30 times, you come around the bend and you're like, is this the last bend? No. Is this the last bend? No. And it just keeps happening. It's like Groundhog Day every time you turn a corner.
Yeah, but apart from by the lake, everything looks the same. Like, it's just, man.
Yeah. It can break your heart a little bit, but it's great. It's lovely and light underfoot. As you said, there is a couple of little hills and ups and downs to keep you honest and to change it up a little bit every lap. It's just nice. But it is like that. The GPS can't be trusted. So it's, you could be running at a 4-minute or a 6-minute. It could go either way.
Yeah, so I didn't know whether to really trust it. And then only when I got to just before the last lap, the watch buzzed, and it's like, you've got, was 17K was gone. I think it was like 4K left. And I'm like, oh no, that's not right. I'm not near the finish line yet. This is a bit off. And then I got towards the finish line for the last lap. The clock said 1:26:30. And I'm like, it's either 3.97 or 3.87 a lap. And I wasn't too sure. I was doing the maths in my head, and I'm like, I'm not making 1:45. This isn't happening here. So it's slight hills, and I start slowing down a bit, and there's like two lads behind me, and I'm a bit ticked off that I'm going to come in at 1:46, 1:47, and not quite get there. And in a race, you kind of just drop the head a bit, and as guys are passing you, but as the two guys went to pass, they end up just like in line with me for a good, I'd say maybe 500 meters, just in line. I'm like, lads, just put me out of misery and just pass me out at this stage, but I won't slow down. So we turned one corner, and there's like a little drop, and I just hit a stride and got in front of them. Like, oh, that didn't feel too bad. And I was like, right, you got around 3K left. Let's just empty the tank and see what happens is. So the 5-minute kilometer dropped to like a 4:45, 4:40, and I was seeing 4:30 in the watch, and I was seeing one person ahead, and like eventually get past them. As I pass them, I see another person. And it's like, right, we're on for a sprint finish here. If we make it, we make it. If we fall into a ditch, we fall into a ditch and not get the 1:45. Anyway, so if we fall out and crawl the rest of the way, we're definitely getting some sub 150. So I'm passing people, and then eventually near the end, I'm starting to see, okay, it's after this turns a long straight. I'm starting to, after 5 laps, I'm getting my head around the course. And then I see the water station, turn the corner, long straight. I've got 50 seconds to get through this to the finish line. I'm like, let's go. Passing people out near the end. And it was a great feeling. I got in just under, like 10 seconds under 1:45. And it was only that last lap where I was like, okay, I'm starting to get back to where I was before. So great race. In the end, it was a great race. During it, bits of ups and downs, but like I should be a little bit faster than where I am right now. You get your own, like, especially out there for an hour 45, you get in your own head and you're like, oh, I should be faster than this, or should be, I've been faster than this. But finished strong, happy out. 4 weeks to go before the 50K, got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but it's great motivation
yes.
to be finishing that strong with 4 weeks to go is really good. It's really positive. And knowing the course a little bit, knowing what it's like underfoot a little bit, like there's a lot in that. There's a lot to be mentally gained from that as well, which is really, really good. But no, I think you're in a good position. And like you, that's what I'm hunting now, is working myself back to just start to see something. It can be 4:59 on the watch, but I just want to start seeing less than 5 minutes and 6 minutes on a K as well. But we'll get back there. I can do it. We went and did intervals. I'm doing the 3:45, and I'm absolutely goosed afterwards. But that 21K, that 1:45, that's a position of, I'm not so bad. I'm surviving here. I'm hanging in here, and it's a good place now. I think you're in a really strong position, and I'm looking forward to see how that 50K goes for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just to keep getting the miles in the legs now. I definitely need more miles in the legs. I'm not going to manage that pace anywhere close to 50K, but still have to get under 5 hours. That's a big goal, Donadea. But I think it was Wednesday or Thursday I was working away, and people were starting, just before people started coming in from the next session, I had a quick look at the phone for notifications, and it starts buzzing. This person liking their post, this person liking their post, this person commenting. I'm like, I didn't put up any run day posts. I'm like, oh. Then I thought back to the podcast. It's like Eric said, he said he was going to put up a reel, and Monday came, he didn't put up. Tuesday never came up. But Wednesday, you went all in on this one. Like, you didn't pussyfoot around with this one. You went straight in with your, as you put it, Fatman to Ironman, and just like, here's what I weigh, here's my body fat and stuff. That had to be a little bit nerve-wracking to put up a post like that.
For a fella who's on a podcast running his mouth, I do not like putting myself in social media eyes at all. That's why you do most of the posts. But I said, look, we can't sit in the soapbox and not give people a reference point either of our own journeys. And we've always said, let's be honest, let's be transparent. And I kind of said, you know what? I have a little bit more time. I've good weather, I've this, of that, of everything. I was like, let's show people, because they hear about me going to a track, they hear about me 4 weeks to a marathon, but now it's there, it's in the public, it's this. I'm going to keep updating people, and most importantly, just bring them on my version of my journey. So how I'm breaking it down, my next 5 steps to just get back to running 5Ks. It's not a case of, particularly on this one, and me and you have talked about this off the podcast, of I wanted to do a half marathon, and I talked myself out of it. I wanted to do this because that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. I've been just showing up and just mongoing it, and I want to do this right. I've never had that low body fat percentage since my teens, and I've always carried a little bit. So I just wanted to get it right. I wanted to do it right. I wanted to develop the love again for training, and it's starting to come back. Like, I did 22k on the bike and just knocked it on it. Now it's 29 degrees, but just knocked it on the head after that, because I was like, no, that was enough. I was working on my cadence, trying to have a higher RPM rather than just mashing the pedals, just trying to get form back into it. And I think that's what I've spent the last while doing. And again, I'll update people on the reels, and kind of, I don't want to just overdo it either. It's not all about the Fatman to Ironman project. We've so much more inspiration on this. But I suppose I think it's more like a little control, because we're going to have great people. We have great people on this podcast. And then it's always a reference back to, what does average look like there? That's it. And how do I see the journey is like, well, follow the weekly reel. So, and that's what we're going to do. So the next reel, so for people to keep you interested in it'll be what my next steps were, the pen and paper plan, and what it took for me to give myself a kick in the arse. And it's not a case of, okay, well, today I'm going to stop eating chocolate and I'm going to run 10 miles. It was sit down with pen and paper, and it was like, right, go on an exploratory cycle. And people have seen the track I'm working with. Was it about pace? No, it was about do a lap and just see what you can do there. Go to the gym and see what you can do there. Employ a certain strength and conditioning coach and see if he can help you out.
Hello.
So like a lot of my first week was just basically figuring everything out and seeing what I liked again, and just getting back into it. But yeah, that's what the journey's going to be. And I will give little inputs. We don't want to take over most of the intro because we have a great guest, but that's the whole idea, and the accountability is there for everyone. We say that week in, week out, and consistency. So if anyone wants to follow on Strava and they want to have a look at the consistency and everything else I'm doing, it's there. It's there for everyone to have a look at, and I'll keep people updated and see how we go.
Have a lot better approach than just crushing yourself week 1 back and crush yourself week 2. Then you're on the couch week 3 and you can't keep on going. But today on the podcast, and it's funny, we ended the intro on your journey, because our next guest kind of parallels yours, was a little bit ahead. So we know you've gone abroad now, you have your own business, you're trying to learn a new language on Duolingo, but this lad has left the country, ran a new business in a foreign country, has learned a new language as well, and like you, did one Ironman over here, and then decided, all in the business, and then went back to Ironmans, is now sub 11 on Ironman, which is something you've talked before about the podcast being there. We won't spoil any more. We're going to go straight into this week's episode of the Any Given Monday podcast. Let's go. So this week on the Any Given Monday podcast, we get emails from time to time for people to come onto the podcast. And one particular email we got this week, I was like, oh, there's a lot of parallels that I really want to bring this person onto the podcast. So they originally from Ireland, then did an Ironman, and then decided to move to a foreign country. And I'm like, oh, it's Eric. But then they went on to set up their own business over there. I'm like, oh, still Eric. But then they're like, oh, I'm too busy now, my own business, I can't do stuff, and now I'm going to get put on weight and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, that is you, Eric. That's not our guest, because our guest then went and did 3 Ironmans in 1 year, including getting underneath sub 11 hours for an Ironman. And I have no idea how impressive that is. But Eric, I know you know how impressive that is. But what I do know is they've got a sub 18-minute 5K, which I'm pretty impressed with. So with that said, David McAllister, welcome to the Any Given Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you. But I gotta ask one thing, because you sent me a couple of details and stuff, and one of your Instagram accounts, it's all in Spanish, so I have no idea how good your burrito bar is over in Spain.
Yeah, the burritos are the best. We won the Just Eat Award for best Mexican in the whole of Spain. We won that in our second year, so they're good burritos.
Unbelievable. You have a burrito shop. Now, I'm asking as a person who posted a very fat fucking reel of himself there at the start of the week. Talk to me about the food. What got you into burritos?
Yeah.
It was just crazy. We have a place back home. I think you actually have it down. I'm from Belfast, obviously you can tell from the accent. But it's called Boojum. Do you know Boojum?
Boojum, yeah.
Yeah. So the original butcher was in Belfast, and anytime we went past it, it was queued out the door. I've got a friend who has a burrito bar as well, and he was always really busy. So me and the missus wanted to move somewhere sunny, but we just needed to come up with an idea of how we could make money, how we could live over there. And I just went burritos. That's the way to go. So it was all pure chance. It was all just hope. Hopefully the things would work out, and thankfully
Hold
in the
on
end
to
it
your
did.
hat, David. You've got a franchise in Dubai. Yeah.
So you literally took the idea, burritos, hot country, bang, Spain, and off you go.
Bang. Literally, we Googled where gets the most sunshine in Spain, and Murcia was one of the first ones that came up. It came 320 days of sunshine. So we came out, we took a quick visit, had a look around, and said, right, that's it. We're packing up and we're going.
My God, David, you're a man after my own heart. I love burritos. So I'm actually so hungry for an old burrito now. But so moving to Spain, was that the trigger for sport? And now I'm asking, this is like, I know nothing about your background. Is that the trigger for sport, or have you always been involved in sport?
No, I was never involved in sport. Right up until I was 30, like I done nothing, absolutely nothing, and didn't play football or anything like that. What sort of triggered it was when I was 30, I was out back home, was out playing with the kids in the snow, and just was running about, literally just playing about with them for 5 minutes. Couldn't breathe because I used to smoke. I was a heavy smoker. I smoked probably 30 to 40 a day. And then when I came back in, just literally had to go in and sit down. And something just triggered from then. And then I says, right, I'm going to start going to the gym and see what I can do. So I went to the gym, started doing a bit of CrossFit, then joined a running club. We done the park runs. Mm-hmm. And then bit by bit, just once I started doing the running and enjoying it, I thought, well, maybe I could do a marathon. And then about a year and a half later, I entered Belfast Marathon.
It's amazing the trigger, and it's great that it happened and sad in a way, and it happens to so many people that and so many guests we've had on this podcast that they just have something that says, I can't keep going on like this, do you know? And yeah. I'm happy for you. It happened when it did, and it's early and not when you're 50, but that's absolutely brilliant. And what was the goal for the marathon? Was it to prove yourself that you could take on a marathon? Was it to end that phase of, this is the new me, if I can get through a marathon, this is it now?
Yeah, it was just basically the challenge, because I've always liked to set myself a challenge. So once I sort of built that base level of fitness through doing the CrossFit and things like that, I thought, right, well, what can I do? And then I'd done a couple of 5Ks, a couple of 10Ks, and just marathon seemed to be the next step. So it was just the challenge of the seeing if you could complete it.
And the first one then, what was Belfast a fairly hilly marathon for your first marathon?
It is, and as you know yourself, it rains. It always rains. So we got soaked about halfway around.
And that was the day he decided he was opening burrito bars.
Correct. That was the trigger. I've got PTSD from that day, and I thought, we're moving to Spain. I'm going to keep training.
Around mile 21, he said, I have had enough of this.
And you're done from there. And after that then there seems to be a gap a little bit between the Belfast Marathon for a couple of years before getting into triathlons. Am I right in saying that? Or did you feel like after that first marathon, one and done, I've finished, I go into triathlons, or was there a gap there?
Yeah, it was one and done. And once I'd done it, then I did obviously want to beat my time, but I don't know, it just sort of fell off a wee bit. It's actually still the only official marathon I've ever done, because obviously I've done 4, at the end of the Ironmans, but just like the standalone marathon, that's the only one I've ever done. What happened was, probably shouldn't say this, I'll get into trouble, but my sister got me a bike through the cycle to work scheme for her work. So she got it for me, and then once I started cycling, then it was just sort of logical that I'd done a bit of running, I'd started a bit of cycling, and I thought, well, put them together and we'll give triathlon a go.
And how are you on the swim?
The swim, I was always an okay swimmer, but I couldn't swim properly. I wasn't, I couldn't swim front crawl, things like that. So I went with my father-in-law. He sort of got me and pushed me into it.
into the water and kept his
into the water, basically.
like a good father-in-law. Do you love her?
He said, sink or swim. So he brought me out and just showed me how to swim properly, basically, and then just watched a whole load of YouTube videos. And I'm not the strongest swimmer, but I can sort of get through. I would on the Ironman, I'll do maybe about 140, 142 for 100 meters.
That's good.
But what I find with the swimming is when I actually try and go harder, I go slower. So now I'm trying to get myself to actually just slow down on the swim and just try and be more conscious of what you're doing.
Like the swim, like the best way I've been able, like I've tried to explain that point is like the harder I try, the slower I go. And for swim, like I'm one of the guys, Donadea was with me on one day, and he's like an absolute swan in the water, and he's a solid guy, plays rugby, but he is as graceful in the water. And he's like, it's all technique. Yeah. He's like, I've come off, haven't swam in 6 months, get in the water, all technique. And he's not putting in any effort. And it is one thing, and it's practice. And although we say time in the saddle is great for building up your endurance, literally just time in the pool and practicing technique after technique it saves so much time. It really, really does.
Yeah, they say that if just say you only had an hour per week for swimming, it would be better for you to do 3 20-minute sessions throughout the week than just go and do that 1 hour. It's just getting in that habit and trying to keep the muscle memory basically of where your arm's going into the water, the pull back and stuff like that. And as I say, if for me to go 135, I have to like double the amount of effort I'm putting in. So now I've realized just try and go a bit slower, a bit smoother, and save a bit of energy then for the run or for the bike, or for the run of the bike.
And that's it as well, because it is an Ironman. It's all about conserving the energy and getting through it. It's one thing I noticed that there was a couple of weeks I trained and I got to the pool once that week, and then the next week I was like, my God, you'd swear I hadn't swam in a month. But even like that with shorter sessions, I found my improvement. And I suppose consistency is great and everything. We use that word every week here, but the one I've noticed the most improvement with being consistent in any sport I've ever done is swimming. Yeah. I didn't think it's very frustrating for the first couple of weeks. First 4 weeks trying to swim a length and being out of breath and just wanting to go home. And then you break that point, and then it comes into technique then once you've got a little bit of endurance. And what I found, it was the most rewarding, because Seán, we talk about the 5K. It's like, can we break the sub 20? And we're talking about seconds and seconds just to get over it, like a 3:55, a 3:56. There was tens of seconds coming off my swimming as the weeks went on, which was absolutely amazing progress for 16 weeks. But for me, I don't know what you think, Dave, but the consistency is absolutely amazing. And I'm hoping if I get a bit more consistency this year, I'll get a bit quicker than at 2:10, 2:20. But we'll see. Another couple of tens of seconds to do me well.
Well, that's it. As you say, it's just getting to the pool. The problem with the swimming, it's probably the most difficult to get that consistency, because not really many people. Well, I'm kind of lucky because I live in Spain and we do have a pool on site, but we can't use it during the winter. So you're having to drive to the pool. It's just all that time it takes to get changed and all this. There's a huge barrier actually to go consistently to the pool. And I find that especially during the winter, that's the one thing that probably drops off the most with me. I'll keep the bike and I'll keep the running up, but the swimming goes down to about once a week, which is probably the opposite of what you should be doing. You should maybe be, ramping it up a bit over the winter.
Yeah, and I was I went looking at this is turning into a swimming abroad show now, but I went looking at their version of the aquatic centre over here in Dubai. Like, we have a pool on the roof, but it's about 8 meters long. I was moving over, Kate was like, "Oh, it's big, yeah, you can swim links in it. It's like a bathtub." I got there and I was like, I don't think I can bluff me watch here if I leave it set at 25 meters and swim 100 lengths. Like, you push off one wall, you're nearly at the other. So, but their version of an aquatic centre here is about, I think it's about €17 for a swim. Like, it's expensive. Yeah, so it is a pricey old sport if you're looking to get into it. So like that, it's a cost over here, and it's a bit of an inconvenience. You're 25 minutes from everything, no matter what you want to do. But yeah, that was the big difference I noticed. But when you find amenities, they're absolutely amazing. You just have to get to them.
Yeah, I want to see that gym. I was listening to you talking about the gym. It sounds unbelievable.
I was dreaming about that gym last night. I just had no joke. So Katie won't fund my dream. I'm having this argument with her every day. So if her dad is listening, but we did. We tried out there is something about the outdoors, and it's not to deadbeat on Ireland, because a lot of my mental battles were fought out in the cold, in the hat and stuff, and a lot of that tough end, I don't want to do it anymore because I've done it so much. I know it's in the back pocket for a rainy day, literally, but there is something so nice about it being 22 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on a track that's purpose-built for cycling, and I'm surrounded. This morning, I think I had about 120 cyclists coming and going and cycling around me, all kitted out to the nines like they were the next Lance Armstrong and they were going backwards. But it was still great. It was still surrounded by so many people doing so many good things and no traffic. And I'll put up a reel on it later. Like, it was the bougiest avocado and toast breakfast I ever had after a cycle. Like, the only way they have coffee stops in Ireland, well, this one is blue smoke. But it's something so nice about the good weather. And as you said, the winter is usually where I drop off. Like, it's usually where I'm at my worst now. I'm at my worst now, fat man. But it's just makes it so much easier. Do you find that, David?
Yeah, I can see him. I feel like I've softened up. Because now, like, if it's 8-9 degrees, I'm going, oh, that's cool. I have to, put double jumper on, put the gloves and things. Back home 8-9 degrees, I had no problem. It was short sleeve top.
Yeah. Lads, by the time this podcast drops, just to let you know, they're talking about it being snowing next Monday. So if people are going to listen to this, they're like, lads, shut the hell up. We're freezing our nipples off over here. It's so cold.
My couch is free. Be brave. Come on over.
I don't think I will for now. But I suppose going from inside to outside, David, how did you find the open water swimming? And then did you do a sprint triathlon? Was that your first triathlon? Did you have much open water experience before that?
Yes, no. The sprint triathlon was the first. It was out in Newry, and it was in a lake swim. And there's nothing prepares you for the open water swim. You can go out and you can practice it as much as you want, but with Ironman, I had to do sort of the staggered start, but with that one, we started in the lake, and the whistle went. You were getting punched, you were getting kicked at. I just swallowed half the lake. It was it's a nightmare, and there's nothing prepares you for that. You just have to try and take a breath and calm yourself down, and then try and find your own space and go for it.
I find it so relaxing to throw the first dig. You feel like you've got ahead of it.
Yeah.
It settles the nerves, rather than waiting for the bang.
Yeah. And we got out of that lake the first time. We like, I got on the bike, thank God, I'm never doing this again. Or was it did you get the buzz from there?
No, pretty much, yeah. I thought I'm never doing this again. Then got off the bike and got on the run, said I didn't want to do that bike again. And it was the same with the run. It was only 5K at the end of the sprint, but it was the longest 5K in my life. And it just felt like it was never going to end. But it's the way thing is with, like, not just triathlon, but any sport. You just forget so quickly, and you forget. About 20 minutes later, then I started going, I wonder could I do that again? Or maybe I'll go up to the Olympic distance, and that's just sort of the way it gets you.
Have you carried that on into? I know the shorter game what's it like in Spain, the area you're in? Is there any triathlon clubs you can get involved in? Yeah,
there's a club, and that's sort of what got me back into doing it again. There's a club called Rideland, which is just a group of local ones that they do running, trail running, and then a few do triathlon. Because after I set up the business, once about 3 years down the line, I was able to had time to start training again, and I went and done a race with them guys, and that's sort of what lit the spark again. We went and done a relay. It was a 100K race, so 10 of us each done 10K. But again, it was the hottest day of the year. So we were running in I think it was 42 degrees that day. And I ran it. And afterwards I felt terrible. But then again, just there was some spark. And then I went after that, right, okay, I'm going to start back. I'm going to start back in the triathlon. I'm going to find something new to do.
I don't know about that 40 odd degree heat now. I wouldn't be a fan of doing that twice.
It's weird. It had the complete opposite effect, where someone had running and that would think, no, that's it, I'm done. I'll never run that again. But I don't know, something just kicked in and went, I missed that, the competing. I missed just running with other people and pushing myself that wee bit harder, which I hadn't done. Because literally when we opened up the business, I had no time to train at all. From the day we opened to the first time until I got a break, it was 214 days. So that was every single day, 14 to 16-hour days. And then I got a break for a week, and then about another 100 days in a row again. So there was no time for any training whatsoever.
Right, hold on, park the training. How many burritos would you make in a day?
Now? Oh, well, a good couple of hundred now. At the start, it wasn't as many as that. That's the problem why I was having to work every single day, because it took a while, to build up it. And they didn't have any burritos or anything in this part of Spain where we are. So it was just trying to sort of educate the people with, this type of food and things. So it did take a while for us to build up.
That's unbelievable. 60 an hour day doing burritos. Forget about Ironman. You were already prepared.
One for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. I think that's Eric's way of cooking burritos. Before you went to Spain and started on the burritos, did you do an Ironman first?
Yes, I done one. So as I say, I done one sprint and then one Olympic. Then again, I just thought, all right, well, what's the next step? Obviously, the next logical step would be 70.3, the half distance. But then I kind of thought I would probably have to train a year to get up to where I needed to be for that. And then maybe then another year to go up to the full distance. So I just thought, skip that, kind of like yourself. Just skip that and just go straight to the full.
I'm close to Eric here.
Where have we heard that? And the best part is, Dave, you saved half the money. So you got two halves for
exactly.
the price of one. Unbelievable. Sorry, which one, David, was it?
It was Mallorca, Ironman Mallorca in 2016. Is
it a good race? I know a few people who have done it, but from your perspective, how did it go?
Yeah, it was good. The swim went really well. I think the best thing about my first one was I just didn't know what to expect. And now that I've done a few more, that's a blessing, because now you know what to expect and you know how hard it's going to be before you even start. But the swim went really well. The bike was tough because it is quite a hilly course as well. And just as we started the climb to the mountain, just the heavens opened and just the rain was coming tumbling down. But then because I was from Ireland, that's actually when I got into my element. So I was just flying past these Spanish guys who were only
Belfast.
Yeah. These Spanish guys that hadn't trained in the rain. I'm like, no, this is it. This is my element.
Take over.
So I was just going flying past them. Yeah, take over. And then finished that, went on to the run, and I had a pretty decent run on that there. Up until my last Ironman, that was the best run I'd had. So yeah, all in all, it was good. It was tough, but it was a great experience, and still probably the one I'm most proud of, just because that first one it had something special.
And you're glad to do where you did it. Why'd you pick Mallorca, by the way, for your first one?
Sunshine.
Should have guessed that. I really should have guessed that. Have I been paying attention here or what?
What then? This is the bit I'm toying with, and Seán asked me the question pretty much 10 hours after I had crossed the finish line. Would I do one again? And I nearly tried to sell him my bike there on the spot. But what then brought you back? I know we've touched on it. Like you do kind of forget. But an Ironman is serious commitment, and with moving to Spain, all that kind of stuff going on. What was that trigger that said, I want to go through that again?
I just wanted to get fit again, and then it's hard. It's difficult to explain. You're just trying to. I got back into fitness, got back into triathlon, done a couple more Olympics and stuff like that, and then it sounds stupid because they're not easy, but they just don't seem enough. I don't know. The Olympic distance just isn't enough, and it just, especially when you've done one, you go, well, that's only a wee short time. Why not do the Ironman again? And to be honest, I had planned just to do one more in Barcelona, and that was the plan. But Barcelona didn't go according to plan, and then I ended up doing 3 in 1 year instead. But I had only planned to do one.
We got that question just before Christmas. It was like, what's your favorite race? And we were going through the different races, and we came back to it has to be the marathon, because, like, obviously you do triathlons, different things. Like the big one, the long endurance ones. There's something that so rewarding you get from the end of it that I like. I don't quite get from doing a half marathon or a 5K or a 10K. It's something about just that extra time being out there where you get that from. But you went from Barcelona, and then your big one then in terms of PB, that was in Nice, I'm assuming, was it? No, you did Nice. That was your most recent.
No, Nice was next. So when Barcelona didn't go according to plan, I still PB'd in Barcelona. So I beat my time by I think it was about 10 minutes, more or less. But it just I knew I should have done better. So then I looked, right, I'm going to do another one. And I was looking for, a flat course like Barcelona. But then I just seen Nice, and I knew the World Championships were going to be there and stuff. And then it just caught my eye, and I thought, you know what, that'll be beautiful. So it was one of them ones that I knew I wasn't going to PB in it because the course is just so much more difficult. But I just wanted to do it for the experience. It was amazing. But that's what happened then. That's why I led into the third, because I didn't PB at that, and I thought, I've still got it in me. And what's the point in waiting until next year to do it again? Just take a break and then do a small training block, and then go for, it was in Gandia, was the last one I done in October there. And that's where I PB. That's where I got the sub 11 hours.
How going from one Ironman to the next in 3 years? I say in 1 year doing three of them. Your training is that taking peaks and troughs, and is it literally just recovery, and then you're on, like, if someone does a 16-week Ironman plan like Eric, you're already on week 12 because you've only got a month or two before the next one. Like, how do you train around that? And like, how was the body after that as well? Like, that's to put three in the body in 1 year, I can only imagine was very demanding, on top of being your own boss and running your own business and everything else that goes with it. Like,
Yeah, no, I think that definitely is. Well, this time I got a coach, so I don't know. Can I give him a shout out?
yeah, work away. Yeah.
Rideland endurance training. So the first one I coached
Sounds
myself.
average.
This one, I got him to coach me. So he puts everything in the training peaks. I don't even have to think about what I'm going to do. I just go, it's there, and then so as you say, yeah, you do the first one. I find with me, it takes at least a month after the Ironman before I feel normal again. Usually about a week before I'll start running. Once I start running, then I can do the runs and I can do the bike rides, but you just don't feel strong. Your legs aren't the way they were used to be. So after doing these three, it's more or less on the month mark that I feel I can start to build again. So you basically take a full month off, and then you can just start another training block. But as you say, you're maybe halfway through. Someone that's starting from zero.
It didn't come across. Your coach's name is Ryland Performance, is it?
Endurance training, was it?
No, he's called Lewis. My coach is called Lewis, but it's Rideland. Rideland Endurance.
Very good. And are they based in Spain, or are they here in Ireland, or where are they?
Yeah, he's based in Spain. Well, he's an English fella, and he's a PE teacher up at the local school. But he also does coaching. He's taking his courses with the British Triathlon Federation and things like that.
Ah, excellent. So he's on your case over there. So it's not like you're escaping. You can't escape.
No, that's it.
And how do you find when you see, like, you stick on Training Peaks one day, and it's like you've got a big tempo run and stuff, and you're not feeling it? Is it a case of that's the program, that's what we're doing, that's it, or or it's a long cycle? I know you know in a week in advance, but do you ever feel like, because you did your first Ironman your own way, like, I really want to tweak this and stuff, or are you just in the mindset of, he has a reason for this, no matter what I'm feeling, I'm getting through it?
Yeah, basically, I'll go back to what you say in basically every podcast. It's consistency, and I will do whatever he says on that. If he tells me to run off a cliff, I'll go, right, fair enough. What pace do you want me to run off the cliff at? It's as simple as that. I follow it. Everyone's different. He has other clients that will not. He'll program them to do a run, and he'll go paragliding or something like that, and that works for them. But for me, if it's there, I'll do it, and I think that's what I've really noticed just over these past couple of years. It's consistency and just building on the base that I've already got, and just keep on going. And that's where now I'm 41 now, and I'm fitter than I ever was when I was in my early 30s.
Well, you've given me hope now as I'm starting my challenge anyway. I'd say you're a coach's dream by the sounds of it. If my coach was 16 weeks, I think was watching my Ironman through his fingers, just tracking it to survive. Never mind anything else.
Yeah. No, he laughs because mine, like I just go for all the greens. But then he compares me to the other ones that he's got, and he's going, yeah, you just go for it.
How many sessions in that week training for an Ironman are your sessions hard sessions? Like you're going for tempos on the bike, or I'm assuming because your weather's so great over there, you don't even have a turbo trainer. There's no need for you, right?
No, I do have a turbo trainer, but in the past year I've used it maybe 5 or 6 times.
That makes sense.
We don't. If you can go out, you can go out. Like today, I was out already today, and say in the morning, you almost need 2 changes of clothes. You'll go out in the morning, and it'll be about 8 degrees, and it is cold. You'll feel it, but then once you hit about 10, 11 o'clock, then we're up into 16 degrees, and you're boiling. Then so you're taking layers off, just trying to to cool down a wee bit.
And are your sessions during the week? Do you have many high intensity sessions, or are you of the opinion that most of your run-ins are easy runs, or do you have, because you have to mix in running, cycling, and swimming? Do you have one or two like harder tempo kind of runs in that week, or what way would you have done it?
Yeah, that's at least we'll have one hard session in each discipline each week, and then all the rest is just long and slow, and just trying to build up that base.
One of the things I had during the Ironman was I trained off watts, and that's what I knew I could sustain for so long to give myself a fighting chance coming off the bike. Haven't done a couple of them. Did you get a bit more brave in, I can push this? That's one thing I was a bit afraid of. How do you know, particularly because your last one was a PB, I've got this in the tank, I can send this a little bit harder? Like, how are you able to gauge that? That's one thing that baffled me during it. I was like, I'm afraid to go.
No, it still baffles me. I did push in the last one, but you're always, it's like that fine line of pushing to your limit, but don't go past it, because if you go past it's all on the bike. If you go past your limit on the bike, you're going to have a terrible run. And it's just trying to have that balancing act. But I'm still afraid that I've maybe pushed it too far, and then you're just not going to complete the run at the end. I don't know if that'll ever go away.
So, well, that doesn't settle my nerves.
Well, on a day you did get it right was your third Ironman. You did a 10-hour 44-minute, which is phenomenal from what I can see. You got the bike right that day. Was it more of a flatter course getting the bike right that day? When you were on that bike, did you know I've got this now, or was it a case of you don't know until you got to the run? How were you feeling that day doing it?
Yeah, that day it was definitely a flatter course. So compared to Nice, it's night and day. It was really windy that day, so that was the only thing, was you were into a headwind I think it was a 4-loop bike course. So for half of each loop, you were just into a headwind, but then obviously it was helping you on the way back. But the time I finished the bike in, I just have to go back and check, but I think I finished the bike in about 5:15, something like that. So when I got off on the bike, I sort of knew, unless I really blow up on the run, I should be able to get the sub 11, which is what I was going for. I wanted to get a sub 4 marathon. That was sort of in my head. I couldn't go sub 4 for an Ironman marathon. I just missed out on that. It was 4:02 for the marathon.
Still phenomenal. Great run.
What are you on about? That's terrible.
Great. That's no, well, I didn't get 4:02 in Dublin Marathon this year, so I have to say that's great. And am I right in saying then, like, less than 2 months after that, you hit the 5K PB of 17:51? If the answer is yes, don't tell me I have to do an Ironman to get a sub 25K.
Look, I'm telling you, that's what you have to do.
What if he told you to
Listen, I think
smaller?
That I can't do. I'll do the Ironman instead.
No, obviously, I think I'm just riding off the wave of the fitness that I gained through the Ironman. And then we've just sort of put in a couple of, I'm just doing now races for fun, just to go out and enjoy them. So we've put in a bit more speed work, but we've reined the amount of hours that we're doing right back, and just doing a wee bit more speed work. I PB'd my half marathon. I got it in 1:27, and then 2 weeks after that, I'd done the 5K PB, which I wasn't expecting, actually, because I went in that race and it was one of them ones you just weren't feeling that you were going to go fast that day. And then it was just like, I looked at my watch about 2.5, 3K in, and I was going, if I can hold this pace just for 2 more K, I'll do it. So I got the head down and just went for it.
It comes back to it as well. it's all mental for Seán. He just has this block about this 20 minutes. He's been fit enough, I don't know how many times.
It's annoying because when I hear you got like a 127 PB, I'm like, when I'm about 5 minutes off that for my best PB of 131.55, which doesn't 132 obviously. I'm like around 5 minutes off it, and then I see you've got like that's well over 2 minutes in a 5K, and I'm like, is that right in the match? I should be there by now. But look, it'll come from you at some stage. For yourself, though, more importantly, what's next now that you're building your speed work up? Are you building it for a particular reason, or like you say, you're just enjoying your racing now? Is there an event coming up for 2024?
Yeah, well, next year, I want to go is just do the half distance, because I've never done a half. So I've planned to do 2 halves. I'm doing one in Seville. Okay, so initially I wanted to do Valencia, but then I got an email from Ironman saying it was sold out. Also, the missus she's starting to get into her running, and she's going to do her first marathon this year. She's doing Madrid. So I says, look, I'll do Madrid with you. And I realized it was a bit close. Valencia was the 2 weeks before, and then Madrid was 2 weeks after. But I thought I'll do the half Ironman, and I'll get round the marathon with her, because I just want to do it with her and support her, because she's been brilliant. Like she doesn't just support me, like she pushes me on. You. It was her that emailed you for this. You know, she pushes me to do stuff that she doesn't give me a choice. She went off.
Did you know she emailed us, by the way? Or
no,
she's like, I've done something.
She went off social media for January. She says, I'm going off social media. 2 days in, she was obviously bored, and she says, I'm going to think. So she's emailed you to get me to do something.
Well,
so thanks very much.
We'll have to do a check-in episode after that marathon to see if the relationship's still intact, because the closest I've ever been to punching the head off Seán was during our first marathon.
This is true.
I've heard it's tough. But what's happened now is that then I went on and booked, because Valencia was cancelled, I thought I have to book another one. So I booked one in Seville in May. So it was you book them, and one's in May, one's in April, but you generally don't think about it because they're 2 separate months. But one was the last weekend in April, and the other one's the first weekend in May. So one weekend I'm going to be doing the Madrid marathon with the missus, and then I'm going to have to do a half Ironman the weekend after.
And how does it feel to be single doing a half Ironman?
Yeah, it's going to be. I've heard it's tough running with someone, so we'll see.
Look, I'm sure with a bit of training, us two Mongos didn't even train, so we deserved everything we got, but I'm sure it'll go
half.
Yeah.
We are so grateful she reached out to us. We are so grateful to have had you on the podcast. I want to come visit your burrito bar in Spain.
Anytime you're in Murcia, guys, I'll shout you a burrito.
I better train for a little bit before I earn a burrito or two. I look like a bit of a burrito myself at the minute. But thank you so much for coming on, David. It's been an inspiration for me, genuinely. With the moving away and stuff and getting into things, you kind of feel like a little bit of an alien for a while. But it's nice to see that it can work, and it can be a positive experience for everyone involved. And for everyone's at home in the cold, we don't care. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
I think it's 20 degrees here tomorrow. Enjoy the snow, Seán.
Cheers. Thanks for being. I have to say that now, I kind of hope it does snow, so I'm proving right on the podcast as we record this one. David, thanks very much for being on this week's episode of the Any Given Monday podcast. That's it for David, myself, and Eric. Take care.
Bye.